And what an amazing week it's been the last week or so. Things are happening so fast we can hardly keep up with them. In the news, have you noticed that? It seems like the pace of everything has suddenly sped up. The three people I talked about at the last talk, Frank Dawson, Thelma Gilmore and Don Hackett, would have loved to see the things we're seeing right now. They're seeing world opinion coming against Israel. A meeting of the Arab states in Egypt just announced yesterday. Putin going to China with all those other countries and in an alliance, Iran, Thailand, a lot of countries from Africa, all in China for the Belts and Roads conference. 3 missiles fired from Yemen at Israel and intercepted by a US Navy warship along the coast and shot down. All the nations are indeed gathering against Israel. And the public opinion is too. Yesterday was an amazing day for me. I went to the plaza. I think I texted Sonia and told her about it. And there was no one there on a Saturday. It was amazing. There was 20 to 30% of what's normally there. There was one girl on the checkout in Woolworths and she was doing nothing. There was no one there. I thought, there's no one here. The space is in the car park. It's amazing. Then I twigged what's going on. They're all at the protest, of course. That's where they are. Yeah, I said that to the lady in the bread shop. She said, oh, right, yeah. Her son said, yes, protest. He backed me up. He said, yeah, that's where they are. We know from all these signs in the Bible that we're told about that Jesus is almost here, right at the very door. As we said in the last talk, the whole world is going to be caught in a trap. They're oblivious to it all. Even when they're told to their face, they don't want to hear that. They close their ears. They turn their faces away. Personally, I've spoken to about maybe 6 or 7 people outside. This morning was another case. I saw Rita's brother in the service station. Oh, good day, mate. How are you going? He said. Hop in the car and I'll give you a lift home. And I had my 2 bottles of Coke. I said, look, I only live a few doors up there. Oh, don't bother. Hop in anyway. So I hopped in the car with him. We got up the street and I said, oh, I'm doing a talk this morning. And I started talking about religion. He said, oh, you've got to go. I've got to go. Get out. So I got out. We know Jesus is at the very door, but the parables we see in the Bible there in Matthew, they all are talking about workers and labourers. There's many of them. That's just one we read there this morning in Matthew chapter 20. And I figured out that God wants workers in his kingdom. He doesn't want bludgers, loafers, people who are undecided or sit on the fence. He wants people that identify a job and get in there and do it. And if they're standing around idle with nothing to do, they find something for themselves to do. And personally, I've been working for many, many years. I think since I was about 14. When I went to a garage sale with Dad, and there was an old lawnmower, and it said $7 on it. And I went up to them and I said, do you really mean $7, not $70? They said, yes, $7. I said, quick, Dad, buy this. So Dad bought this lawnmower, and amazingly, it's made the same year that I'm born. And it's got the wind-up top where you wind it up and then you pull the spring out. And they said, oh, whatever you do, don't break that spring, you'll never get another one. And this mower just goes and goes. And I used to mow massive backyards with grass that was that high for $10 or $20. Absolutely kill myself. Go red in the face like a beetroot. I could remember many things in my working life. One time when I didn't have a car, carrying the large aluminium trestles that are 14 foot, I carried them 4 blocks up the highway to paint a sign at the shops. I carried them one by one. One trestle all the way up, then walked all the way back, then walked another trestle, then the plank. Then when the job was completed, I carried them all the way back again. Working on the prawn trawler, what a hard life that was. The other deckhand was only a young fella and he was so sick he couldn't get out of his bunk. So I had to do both the trays. And I'd sort 3 prawns and be sick over the side, and sort 2 more prawns and be sick over the side, then 3 more and sick over the side. And then as soon as the deck was cleaned up, I'd lie down and the light would come on. We're up again! And you had to get up, and it was pretty hard to get out of the bunk, believe me. And then working at Sydney ferries, spray painting the engine rooms, dressed in an astronaut suit with oxygen coming in the back of it. And you can't see where your feet are. You're tripping over the pipes and things underneath your feet. And then every so often you pop your head up above the hatch and there's a bloke there waiting to clean your mask so you can see a little bit. And I've also worked at many, many places. BOC Gases, Sydney Ferries, as I said, Parliament House, Government House, the Mint Building, and also some disgustingly dirty places, like the one I worked at this week, where the lady was feeding 100 cockatoos, 50 magpies, and many kookaburras, and they actually came right in the house. It took me 2 hours to clean the windows. That's how dirty this place was. I also do a bit of gardening, and I do gardening for work, and I enjoy gardening much more than painting. You don't make as much money out of it, but you can rip into the job and get it done, and mow lawns and pull weeds out. We love weeds. And me and Mum love gardening too. We have pumpkin competitions. Mum has her side, I have my side. I grew one 5.5 kilos, she grew one 4 kilos. But then again, she beat me in the tomato competition. That was fun too. We got the chalk and we scored them on the brick wall. Mum beat me 420 to 405. And no, they weren't cherry tomatoes, they were decent sized ones. The potatoes, I have to keep stopping Mum from digging them up. Not yet, Mum, they're not ready, don't dig them up. But of course the ground is cursed with weeds. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3 and have a look at what it says there. Genesis chapter 3 and at verse 17. Verse 17, and to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it, cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat the fruits of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face shall you eat bread till you return to the ground. Out of it were you taken, for dust you are, and to dust shall you return. Now he gets 3 things there. He's trying to produce food, and it's going to become a lot harder because God made all these weeds on the earth that impacted his crops. And also he gave him the death that was the worst part of the curse against Adam. Now I've got a few weeds here to show you that I've collected. So I've got a lovely big bag here. And they're quite common ones that you might have seen yourself. This one here, do you recognise this one? This one's called an onion weed. And when you dig this one up, you have to get the bulb here at the bottom. Otherwise it just grows again. And it's got all these little tiny bulbs. So when you pull it up, they all shoot off and start new ones. Very hard to get rid of. It loves to grow in cracks and crevices of the ground to make it harder to get out. It loves to grow in the grass and make it harder to get out. And it has these white flowers on top when it's seeding. That's another way it produces more of them. Then we have these sort of weeds. This one's a wisteria. Horrible thing. It can't support its own weight. It's got to grow on other things. A vine, a creeper, a horrible thing. It tears fences apart and houses apart. My brother planted one at our house, 40, 50 years ago, Mum, and this rotten thing's still coming up. After killing it, stamping on it, burning it, killing it, it's still coming back. You know that one. And there's also other ones like ivy and stuff. Same deal with those, They're good for nothing. They produce no fruit, nothing to eat. The bindii. We know this one, bindies. When we're walking with bare feet, this one's actually the nice bindi because it's got the big soft bindies on it, but there's the other one with the little 3-cornered spikes that break off in your feet. You have to get them out. And weeds grow vigorously, better than plants. They always grow better. This one here is a new one that I just found yesterday. And it's so sticky, it sticks to everything. It's covered with sticky stuff. You can't even touch that thing. This is the wild oats. This one's actually not too bad. At least this one's useful for something. It's useful for feeding to budgerigars. See all the seed heads on it? That's called wild oats or milk oats. But this one is actually quite easy to pull out, unlike most of those others I already showed you. And then, of course, there's the burrs. I haven't brought one today because they're a disgusting one. They've got those little black seeds that stick to your clothes. And my tracksuit pants once were so covered with these weeds and weed seeds that we had to throw them in the bin. You couldn't even get them off. You could spend hours there picking them off. Then some smarty said, "Don't worry, mate." They said, "Put them in the bird cage. Birds will eat all the seeds off them for you." I said, "No, I don't think they will, So they're in the bin, And then, of course, the king of all weeds, I had to put it in its own bag here because it's a deadly one. Yes. This is worse than grabbing the mousetrap. This one, the national emblem of Scotland. The deadly Scotch thistle. When we're pulling this one out, we've got to be very careful how we grab it. Look at all those terrible big spikes up there. And the cattle can't eat it. The only way to get it out is to push it over with your foot and get to the roots and pull the root out and grab it by the roots. And it's got a pretty purple flower. That's the only good thing about it. It's a mongrel. It's horrible. And once that flowers, the seeds go everywhere and make more of them everywhere, hundreds of them. And these were the curse of the weeds. And that made life harder for us when we were working in the garden to produce food. Of course, with other type of work, we need the correct safety gear and PPE for the job that we're about to do. I have a few safety gear items here too. You all know this one. This is the vest. Of course, we wear this vest like this. And when we're working in any area in a factory or something where there's forklifts operating or other blokes or we're near driveways, you can easily be seen. Actually, I saw one yesterday with the crosses on it, the reflective tape, and he had the crosses down his pants and the sun shined on it and it was blinding while I was driving. I wish I could have taken a photo. It was so outstandingly bright that you could be seen. And as this safety vest identifies us when we're working, in the outside world, do we fly under the radar or are we visible to all the other people out there? Do we hide, or have we got one of these on that everyone can say, "Oh, that man believes in God and follows Jesus Christ"? Then we have the earmuffs. The earmuffs protect our hearing. They stop us from hearing damage, and my friend Millie is quite deaf and it's most annoying. I actually started saying the prayer for the lunch when he came and worked with us last time, and he just talked right over the top of me because he couldn't hear what I was saying. So also, do we use the earmuffs to stop hearing the things in the world that we shouldn't be hearing? Mixing with people that use bad language. Do we mix with people that use bad language as it rubs off on us? And we use bad language too. The next one is the glasses. Now, I've never had any need for those because I wear glasses anyway. And when I'm not wearing my glasses, I find that something comes at my eye and I don't even blink because I'm used to having those things in front of my eyes to protect them. But we use safety glasses to stop small things going into our eye and getting eye injuries. And again, are we seeing things we shouldn't see? Watching things we shouldn't see, as it leaves an impression in our mind, things in the outside world. They're easy to find. We can look at the wrong things, just like that, with the internet now. And then this one, the safety boots. They're steel capped in the front of them. They stop the foot injuries. And I tell you what, when you've been walking across a factory 100 times a day wearing one of these, you can hardly lift your feet at the end of the day because they're heavier than a normal shoe and your feet get extremely tired. They protect us from hitting our toes and things. It's hard for us to kick against the bricks. And where are our feet going? On which path? Are we paying attention to that? The safety harness, I don't have one here today. The safety harness that goes over you and clips onto things to stop us falling. I saw an amazing one a while ago, a window cleaner that was working 10 stories up, hanging off the side of the building by a rope, like that. How scary is that, with his feet out on the balcony like that? And the other bloke was passing him up this hose and he was cleaning all the windows. And I said, oh, gee, I hope they're paying you a lot to do that. Oh, they're not paying us enough. They're not paying us enough. Are we also falling away? We need held up. The last one, the dust mask. Dust mask. I don't know if I can put this thing on, but it goes on something like this. Straps on. That goes on top of your head. There we are. A respirator. It protects our lungs from getting dust and things in when I'm sanding and doing things like that, or spray painting. We also need to filter out all the bad things of the outside world that are coming into our lives and filter those things out and keep them out. And then we go on to tools to do a job. We have to use the correct tool for the job. Of course, we've got ladders. No, I couldn't bring a ladder in the box, sorry. There's power tools and also machinery, bobcats that make the job so easy, and excavators. They do the work of 20 men. You can't dig a hole without a bobcat now. You don't want to lose all the skin on your hands and get blisters, and it takes far too long digging a trench by hand. With a bar, my hands are so soft I forget to put gloves on, and then, I've got these whopping big blisters across my hands that take weeks to heal. You can't grab anything. Let's go to a similar theme over in Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 13. Therefore, put on the whole armour of God, that you may be able to meet the evil one, and being prepared you shall prevail. Arise, therefore, gird your loins with truth, and put on the breastplate of righteousness, and have your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Together with these, take for yourselves the shield of faith, for with it you shall be able to quench all the flaming darts of the wicked. Put on the helmet of salvation, and take the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit. And in that prayer be watchful at all times, praying constantly and supplicating for all the saints. When we talk about vineyards in the Bible, there's really two vineyards. There's this vineyard here in this room, and then there's the great bigger vineyard out there that incorporates the whole world outside. In the ecclesia, there's lots of jobs to do to get the meeting running. And the more helpers we have, makes it easier for everyone else. I see Johnny here walking around looking for someone to do a prayer. I said, you don't hold the sheet in your hand when you're doing that, you hide it behind your back so people don't run away. That's how you do it. But we need to find ourselves a job and look for a job, help our fellow workers, and every little bit helps. And I can remember at Lakemba a few years ago, I went round there to mow the lawn and the back light was on. I said, someone must have left the light on. So I opened the door at the front, and then I heard a noise out the back. Oh, how scary is that? Someone's in here, And I remember I froze, and I went out the back, and here's Wes Burgess cleaning the windows, silently cleaning the windows, and doing all those little things that nobody even notices. And not telling everyone, I cleaned the windows, or I did this, or I did that. Because as workers, as it says in that parable we read this morning, we're very constant of looking how much other workers are doing. I've painted 4 walls and that guy's only painted 2. I'm worth more money. He's worth less money. I'm better than him. We compare ourselves to each other. We love to do that. And the young people here at Moorbank, me and Mum loved it when we first came here. we said, look at this, the young blokes are going to do everything and we'll just sit back here and let them do everything. Isn't it good? It was good to have a bit of a rest, because when you have a few people, you're doing lots of different jobs. Perhaps if with the young people, if they need help, I'm sure they can ask for help, and anyone here would help them if they've got any problems. The second vineyard, of course, is the outside world, and it talks about the harvest in that parable, a harvest of people. And we know that preaching is hard. It's hard. People, as I said, they turn their faces away. I had an idea a few years ago of doing bags for the homeless with a bit of information in them and a few packets of chips and bits and pieces, cans of Coke, and no, Judy, they don't want water. They want Coke. They can get water anywhere. And I was right, they did want Coke. And giving those bags out was quite hard. It was quite hard to find the homeless people, and people were prepared to help me pack the bags, but giving the bags out, that was a different matter. I think David Niven came and helped me once or twice, and the rest of them, they run a mile. They don't want to do it. It's too hard. Then we had the Bible Education Centre. That was really good. It was hard work for the people there, but we got some results out of it. The special effort at the town hall years ago, where I got to play the pipe organ at Sydney Town Hall. How amazing was that? And talks in the domain. Of course, we can't do that anymore. We get bricks and rocks thrown at us. We just can't possibly do that. But Mum says there was people speaking on all sorts of subjects, and you could walk around and listen to this one and then that one and that one all at once. You could listen to all different ones like stalls. So, as you can see, Johnny's given you a piece of paper. He's come around and given you a piece of paper. And we're going to call this piece of paper the Moorebank Challenge. That's what it's going to be called. And I'm going to give you some work this week. As if you haven't already got enough work to do and you're already worn out and tired, because I want you to get that piece of paper and I want you to put that piece of paper right in your pocket like that, or in your handbag if you've got a handbag, or wherever, because the Moorebank Challenge starts as soon as you get home, see? And what I want you to do is 3 times I want you to write the address of where we meet here on that piece of paper. And then I want you to give it to 3 people that you know and ask them to come here next week. And don't say, oh, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone. I don't have any friends at all. Ha ha ha. I'll show you my friends and acquaintances. This is my little black book. Can you see that? See? It's absolutely jam-packed with people. Customers, people from budgies, people from music, people from all sorts of walks of life. And many of them have drifted away now. I've even spoken to some of them about the truth. There's some great people in there. There's blokes like Terry Rule around the corner who moved up the Central Coast and unfortunately drifted away out of my life. He was a lovely fella. Kenny Denmead from the Budgie Society. His son Tom married Jeff and Denise's daughter, Naomi. Isn't it a small world? And Denise said to him, oh, you've got budgies. Do you know Paul Muir? He said, oh, yes, I do. He said, I was just speaking to him this morning on the phone. Ha ha. And I've got hordes of them in there, but I've also got some other ones that are screwed out, crossed out badly because they were horrible, nasty people. Maybe you do that too, you know. I've stamped on those ones, ripped the piece of paper out of the book, see? But I've got lots of contacts. The lady over the back fence, I've already thought of my 3 that I'm going to give 3 things to and ask her to come. Now, I've worked out that there's 28 people here this morning, I think. So we're going to get about 80-something people here next week in our challenge. I've got it worked out already. When we do work and preaching, we suffer from fatigue and tiredness and also sometimes, unfortunately, injury. I do that myself sometimes. I have to lift the lawnmower into the back of the car and I'm twisting like that and I hurt my back. I get the bad one in the leg, you know, the nerve one. And at Oakley there's 166 steps down to the job and the car's parked up there on the street and I forgot the screwdriver. So I've got to go all the way back up there and get the screwdriver and then all the way back down again. And we also suffer from that in our life in the truth. Now, last time when I came, I brought along Snug and Serena. Do you remember Snug and Serena? I bet you're all wondering how Snug and Serena have been going. Well, I have to tell you that they're doing very, very well. In fact, I brought them again just to show you. Here they are. Now, Snug and Serena have been very safe in their kingdom. Fed good food by their Lord and Master. Walnuts, Mum gives them. Cashew nuts. Fresh corn. They love it all. But there is just one problem. They have got enormously fat. Can you see the size of Serena? He is enormous. They have done no work while they've been there the whole time, and they have become enormously fat. I'm sure we will not be becoming fat in the kingdom of God, but Christ is surely at the very door. And if you're thinking of getting baptized, here's a good passage to read, just near where we were reading from Matthew chapter 20. It's in Matthew 21. And I love this little couple of verses here in Matthew 21 and verse 28, because that's talking about me, that couple of verses there. I feel it's really talking about me. What do you think? A man had 2 sons, and he came to the first one and said to him, "My son, go and work today in the vineyard." He answered, saying, "I don't want to." But later he regretted it and went. And he came to the other one and spake to him likewise. And he answered, saying, "Here am I, my Lord," and yet he did not go. Which one of these 2 did the will of his father? They said to him, "The first one." Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you that even the tax collectors and harlots will precede you into the kingdom of God." And that maybe correlates to some of us, doesn't it? We say we don't want to go, but afterwards we go away and we think about it and we say, hey, perhaps I should be there. And next week, I look forward to the results of the Moorbank Challenge. It's not hard to give 3 acquaintances in this life a piece of paper with the address of this meeting on it. What are they going to do? Throw it in the rubbish bin at the very worst. Let's turn over to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and at verse 5 there. This is a good passage for us to finish up on today. Who then is Paul and who is Apollos, but ministers through whom you were converted? Each one is gifted according as the Lord gave to him. I have planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. So then neither he who plants nor he who waters deserves the credit, but God who gives the increase. Thus the planter and the waterer are equal, and each one shall receive his own wages according to his own labour. For we work together with God. You are God's work and God's building. According to the grace of God which is given to me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds upon it. But let every man be careful how he builds thereon. For other foundation can no man lay than that which is already laid, which is Jesus Christ. So there, as we come this morning to remember Jesus Christ, we have the foundation for the work, and we are told to build upon that. We love to build things. I love to build things and see the results of the work. And afterward, we think, I'm glad I did that. Look at the results. We can clearly see the results rather than working on a suntan or something like that that lasts a few weeks and then is gone. Going to a solarium and the other silly things that people out in this world do. Riding a jet ski, it's soon over and done with, it's soon past. We know indeed that many are called, but only a few are chosen. So let us be called and also chosen.